live stream?
Okay.
Or anything?
Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, we will open the special meeting of the town board. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Since this is a special meeting, I have the, Amber's on a call, so she had to step out for a second, but I have the waiver of notice that we all need to sign. So I'm gonna pass it along. A little bit of a change to today, since it's not a standard work session, we are having a special meeting. The first item listed on the special meeting actually ended up in the wrong place. It's listed under the special meeting, but it really needs to be under the work session because we need to have a discussion about it, about the application, before we would have a resolution about it, which is all that we would do for a dredging application. So we'll have the special meeting on Goodson, then we will adjourn the special meeting, go into our work session, and then depending on what we want to do with Royer's application in the work session, we may go back into the special meeting and then executive session. So I just want to explain so that everybody out there understands what we go. So first things first, I think we need one more minute before we can start to reopen the public hearing on the Goodson wetland application. Just a second. Get my screen going. I apologize about the timing on that. Okay, it is now 1:05. We can reopen the Goodson wetlands application, the public hearing. I mean. So we left off on that was is Steve back on? Steve, just to loop you back in, I know that there was a question that was raised in the discussion that Teresa Mason had posed, and I know you were trying to connect with her.
Yes, Teresa was not available to speak today, but I have an appointment to speak with her at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. I can tell you what my thoughts are and what I'm going to speak to Teresa about. There was a suggestion that if the town imposed the requirement of both a sanitary system and also stormwater mitigation, whether that would be punitive and subject the town to legal exposure. Well, first of all, punitive, it seems to me, is the wrong word. Punitive suggests that there's a reason that the town might want to punish someone. I don't think that that is part of the town's thought process here. Rather, the challenge would more likely be in the form of an Article 78 proceeding, if there were a challenge. And there are particular grounds that are available under an Article 78 proceeding for challenging an action by the board. And the three, it seems to me, that are worth discussing are whether the action is unlawful. Certainly here, it is not unlawful. The board has the discretion to impose requirements on applicants in matters of this type. So it wouldn't be unlawful. The second ground is that the action by the town was arbitrary, capricious, or an abuse of discretion. That's where the debate would occur, whether this was arbitrary, capricious, and an abuse of discretion. And that debate would boil down to whether it is a reasonable requirement justified by some public purpose, such as preventing erosion and whatever other environmental considerations would lead the town to impose that requirement. And that is what I want to speak to Teresa about. The third ground that could conceivably apply is that the town board made a decision after a public hearing, and the decision was not supported by the evidence adduced at the public hearing. And but that, I think, boils down to the same question, whether there is a legitimate public purpose in imposing that requirement, because certainly the board has the discretion to impose requirements. So so Teresa, of course, is the town's environmental expert. And so I intend to speak with her about the utility or lack of utility of having both of those features. That is the sanitary system and the stormwater mitigation measures.
Steve,
So that's a long-winded answer, I think.
in the past, we've had advice given to us that there should be some kind of nexus or connection between the mitigation or the corrections being requested and the violation or the reason for the applicant being in front of us, so that, so that it doesn't appear to be arbitrary or capricious. Like, so you want to make sure there's some connection between why you're asking for something and what the applicant is asking for, or what violation they're trying to remedy. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm being clear.
You're being clear, but I would not frame it in that way, because code violation, the enforcement of code violations is its own universe of legal procedures and code sections. You're not taking this action to enforce a code violation.
Right.
You're taking this action as you would in any other application to ensure that the property is in compliance with the code. Compliance is different than enforcement. This is not code enforcement. This is considering an application as you would any other application, and ensuring that the property complies with the code as you interpret it.
Thank you. I'm just looking to see what, I know a number of us went and looked at the site. Were there any other questions for the applicant based upon the site visits? Coco, can you put up gallery view?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You got good then, right?
What?
I went with Amber, but
Yeah, no, I was gonna go today during the rain because I wanted to see how the water was behaving, but we had a meeting that I wasn't anticipating, so I didn't get to go. I was gonna go this morning. Based upon the site visit, I do not have any other questions of the applicant.
I kind of have a question. I mean, in our last conversation, I know, Meg, we were talking about a dry well next to the hot tub to deal with that bleed off,
Right.
but also the rainwater from the patio?
From the pool deck.
Yeah.
So if it's running off the pool deck into the lawn, you could put trench drains around the perimeter and run those into the dry well as well. Or
That
use
was
them,
something we wanted, we were talking about?
just a possibility.
Okay.
They're all options. I just don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was either that or increase the vegetative buffer, the plantings there.
Right.
Oh, so it wasn't both, it was one or the other, or?
Yeah, I think so. I would think they would accomplish the same thing, so
Yeah.
pick one.
Okay. vegetative buffer.
Well, that's what I was thinking, you know, because I was like, these are kind of the options that we have to mitigate the runoff, but I feel like digging up to put in trench drains kind of disturbs the native vegetation more. It's easier to just add more vegetation than it is to disturb the whole area.
Yeah.
Then, I don't know.
And also, feel free to disagree with me, but at my house, I have a patio and an outdoor fireplace that I built. And I dug a huge hole, poured 5 feet concrete as a foundation for the fireplace. It's 5 feet deep, so it doesn't tip over. And to require him to remove that would destroy anything within 20 yards of it.
I agree.
Well, we have
Lot of
two parts to
destruction.
this, because we have, this is the public hearing part where we're to hear from the public as well as any questions we have of the applicant. And then we do within the work session, then have the agenda item for which we will discuss what kind of restrictions, mitigations, et cetera, we'd like to impose. Albert, did you have any other questions for the applicant?
Self-explanatory, I was there. This is the site. I have clear understanding.
All right, then I'll make a motion to close that public hearing. Oh,
So
I'm
moved.
sorry, wait, I'm sorry, before I do that, I'll just go out to the public. Is there anyone in the public who has any additional questions?
I do have a couple of questions, actually.
Okay.
Is Mr. Goodson available?
His
Yeah,
representative, Matt Sherman.
I'm here, Matt Sherman, representing the applicant. Yeah.
Okay. Question. Mr. Goodson, it was indicated at the hearing, but I just want to reiterate, he was aware that there were issues with building in the wetlands, correct? Before he bought the house?
Yes, he knew that there was unpermitted work that was built in the adjacent area. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then he obviously still went forward with the purchase of the house, home.
That's correct. Yes.
And the issue with the deck and hot tub, he built those, correct? Or he had that work done?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And my understanding, he did not get a building permit for that work?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
And the work is the hot tub and the deck for the hot tub, which is attached to the other deck. But I think what he did was the hot tub and the deck for the hot tub.
Yeah,
I
that's my impression as
I
well.
mean,
There's-
I don't know. I guess I don't know why he wouldn't get a permit after already being involved with knowing what went on in the area before he bought
He
the
was
house.
misled by the contractor.
What I suspect, and obviously this is
Mr. Goodson
speculation
can
on my
answer that,
part.
not you, please.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
a speculation on my part. I can answer that to a certain degree, because I did speak with Mr. Goodson about it. That he had gotten information from his contractor, that because it was a small, less than 100 square feet, that it was within the regulated area, that the contractor was under the impression that it would fall underneath that one-time 100 square foot exemption. The problem is that that exemption was already used on this site, and the contractor, this is where I'm speculating, the contractor didn't go to the building department to check to see. Had he gone to the building department, they would have told him that that 100 square foot exemption had already been used for the gazebo at the top of the stairs going out to the dock, and he would not have been able to do that without benefit of a permit. So I think it was the homeowner relied on the contractor. The contractor didn't realize that they had an imperfect understanding of the code, and that's why that hot tub and deck are part of this application, in the hopes of legalizing it along with the other patio and things that were in existence when Mr. Goodson purchased the property.
Just as an aside, that's why I want to change the process, and we did last year for Ram's Head Inn, so that we memorialize in resolution when people are using their 100 square foot exemption. So rather than it being written on the outside of a folder in the building department, there is a resolution that is more easily findable by the public
for that kind of thing. So when doing the wetlands code subcommittee work, let's make sure that that gets memorialized there. So I just want to throw that out there because.
There are some on the Wetlands Review Committee that feel like that exemption should be removed.
Okay, well, if that's the direction. it
But
goes.
that
if we
will take
keep
up.
it- Yes, exactly. But I just want to point out that this is a good example of why the policy should be changed.
Can I just add one little footnote to the answer that I gave Meg about the difference between code compliance and code enforcement? In a zoning application, in an application for a variance, for an area variance, one of the considerations that the zoning board is authorized by law to consider is whether the condition was self-created. I don't know that that is a criteria in the town code for determining the type of application that's before you now. So that's a further reason that I say that I think that the board is considering this application as it would any other and not viewing it as an enforcement action.
Thank you. Albert, did you have any other questions?
No.
Back to the public? All right, then I will make the motion to close that public hearing. Second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Okay, so we are going to adjourn the special meeting and go into the work session. And the first item in the work session is public comment. And Mr. Gaynor, you've signed up for public comment.
Thank you very much. Hi, Mike Gaynor, 8 Covitz Lane, as if we didn't all know that. You guys know why I'm here, and I'm not going to let it go. This is an extension of the conversation about Sylvester Manor Educational Farm and their event that they're planning on having on June 26th that we discussed ad nauseum last night in the zoning Board of Appeals meeting, partially, even though it's not their purview. Can somebody give me a sanity check here? Am I the only person that's concerned about this, that they're going to have an illegal 450-person party?
I spoke again with legal counsel. We're working on pulling together like a whole list of, concerns that you have raised as well as others. And so we're going to go through that list. The initial read on outdoor assembly permits is if you're having something on private property that doesn't hit certain criteria, a outdoor assembly permit is not required. So the event is not a music event. There may be some ancillary music to it, but unless they were asking for a noise exemption, that would be the only reason that they would have to come for the farm to table to the town board for an outdoor assembly permit. But we are,
If it was like,
that's my take on it. And so I have not had a chance to sit down with legal counsel to make sure that that is the correct take. So
Okay.
that's going to be done. It's going to happen. Hopefully that meeting's going to happen next.
okay. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a duck. It's a 450-person event with free-flowing alcohol, music, under the cloak of darkness, inside of a wooded area that's got felled wood all over the place. It's a life safety matter, and the place butts up against my property and lots of other homes. It's dangerous. If you tried to do it in any other of the 4 towns on the east end of Long Island, they would run you out of town. You guys have clearly showed bias towards these folks. They've been allowed to operate illegally there forever. It's undermining people's faith in government. It makes everybody's job harder. So when you guys have a negative decision about this gentleman right here who's trying to go in front of you and do the right thing, everybody all of a sudden thinks like, depending on who you know over there, if you know Ben here, then you can get your stupid permit, or not get a permit, do whatever you want. They have one illegal event after another over there. Ben, why do you think that's funny? You took a $1,300 gratuity off of them last year. That's illegal.
First of all, no, I didn't. Second of all, stop accusing me of things, okay?
Did you do it or not? I asked you. Did you get a $1,300 gift in kind from them?
N-O.
So you paid them for those tickets.
No, keep going. This is
This
public
is
comment.
not-
This is
I'm
not a
sorry.
conversation between you and me.
Okay, Steve?
Right.
You want to
right.
make public comment? Make your public comment, as wrong and outrageous and libelous as they are.
I've asked you very simple questions. You're an elected official, sir.
Keep going.
I'm asking a question. It's a public comment section. I'm asking a
No,
question.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. It's a
Please, go
public,
ahead.
you're right that it's a public comment session. It's not an opportunity to interrogate a board member.
I'm not interrogating him, I'm asking him a very simple question. He's an elected official. I'm asking him if he got
You
a
have your-
$1,300 gratuity. That's a very
You-
simple question.
You have the only answer that you're going to receive today.
Great, that's fine. I got it on record. This thing is an unsafe event, Amber. There's gonna be 450 people there. I made these points last night. They're probably gonna have 50 gig employees there that are gonna spend the night because they're not gonna be able to catch the last ferry off this island, and they're not gonna be able to afford a hotel room on the island because that would be more than they make in the evening. I've been to these events before. They gotta break the whole thing down before the next day. So they're gonna be staying up late night, drinking, smoking dope. People who work at these events, you know, they're not neurologists. They didn't do gig work because they have, you know, something better to do, right? So they're not super smart people. I'm sorry to say that. They're there. There's no one else. There's not going to be any public safety people there whatsoever. No EMS, no fire, no police, no nothing. Does that sound safe to you?
We are looking into the different issues that you've raised. That's my answer for today.
Okay, well, my answer is this. When that event comes, have you spoken with the police chief about this? Chief Reed?
Please continue with your public comments. It's.
Have you
Go
spoken
back.
with the building
Go back and
inspector?
forth.
He's right there. He has to issue permits for the tents. Has anybody spoken to him about this?
All of your issues are being looked at. I have no answer to.
On June 26th, if that event is taking place, there's one way in or out of this place. I'll put the town on notice, you can put the police chief on notice. My truck's getting parked in front of it, okay? So we can either de-escalate this, you can bring them in here like adults, and we can come up with a reasonable solution for them to have a legal event, or we can escalate it. I'm happy to escalate it. I can go all on cowboy on this if that's what I need to do. I'm happy to do it. So that's where I stand.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Is there anyone else on Zoom who has any public comments? Okay, then we will move on to the rejiggered agenda, which is now the James Royer dredging application. So this paperwork here.
You need to tell the police chief that he's gonna.
I'm sorry. I'm not clear whether this is being discussed in a public hearing or in the work session.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, yeah,
We're in public hearing. right?
we're
Not sorry,
we're in the
session.
work session now. Because it's not something that we normally have public hearings for on dredging applications. It's something that we normally discuss in a work session and then we put on for resolution, whether or not the dredging permit is granted or not. Does that help, Steve?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So this application is before us in a expedited fashion because there is a DEC permit that has been issued and I guess permission, and we do have a representative from the applicant here who can give us more information about it. But we have a very short window from May 20th to May 30th, I believe. If you could just come up to the podium, identify yourself, and then just let us know where things stand. Start from the beginning because I was talking over you. I apologize.
I'm Tim Haney, Oyster Pond Stock, contractor for Mr. Royer.
So how did we get to the place where all of a sudden, like, you've got a window to do some work and you're coming before us belatedly?
Because it took 4 months for me to get liability insurance. That's basically it. So
That is.
application, waiting, put the contractor on it. contractor to get that liability insurance. I have a full-time job, this is my part-time job. I went to the insurance company in January, and they finally gave me liability insurance last week or 2 weeks ago. So
May 9th.
that would be why.
Okay.
It's my fault, and that's all there is to it.
We have in the package, updated DEC permit, the modification number 3 that takes dredging, permission out to August 22nd, 2028. Where do you stand with Army Corps of Engineers?
Well, it's a joint application.
I'm not that, familiar with how these things go.
Right.
So
Well,
do they issue a separate letter on their own letterhead that this has been?
yeah, which they do have a copy of, I don't. But it was, issued, like I said, it's a joint application, like any wetlands permit.
I spoke with Mr. Royer again just to see if he could come. He's in the works of giving the copy of the Army Corps of Engineers. You have to call the DEC, you have to get a copy from them if he doesn't have it on hand. So we have to wait for that correspondence back and forth. And he will send it to me, but as he stated, it's a joint application.
The Army Corps is just like the DEC.
So, Mr. Royer.
It doesn't usually get provided to the homeowner, it just goes right to the DEC.
Unless you request it.
Right.
And this gets issued
And then the
when they have
DEC
it?
issues the permit after they receive the Army
After they get the Army
Corps.
Corps.
So,
Okay, I didn't understand
Yeah.
how that process works.
That's, yeah. Department of State and Army Corps are usually at the same time, that goes right to DEC. DEC approves or denies it, and then it moves on to township right on last.
so in other words, the DEC won't issue their permit unless they've received the Army
That's
Corps in the
correct.
state. first.
Especially for a dredge project, because there's the US Fish and Wildlife, Department of State, environmental impact study, et cetera.
I think another issue is the last time that the dredging took place, the spoils were placed in front of the bulkhead instead of in an upland location. And that created some issues.
I think in the past, I've never done this project for him. He's had other contractors do it. In the past, the spoils have been placed in front of the bulkheads, I guess, towards the north, that would be, in the bayfront.
Actually, Coco, if I could get screen share, I have the GIS picture.
That's the historic location of what, Punchy and Scratchy used to put it there, like, so it's always been like that. That's,
Yeah.
We're just gonna ask this time that the spoils go in the permitted area above the bulkhead upland, because
it's easier for me.
there have been complaints from neighbors down by Crab Creek that because he dumps the spoils there, Crab Creek has changed and closed, and there's like
I
concerns
wonder if
about that.
that's true.
I don't know, but
I'm
it's
not saying
definitely
they're
a
wrong, but I
concern.
wonder, because I think most of it goes back into his inlet,
I think it's,
but I don't know.
yeah,
So
so
they'll get put up here
up there, yeah,
Up there, yeah.
yeah,
instead of
no,
Here
instead
or-
of here,
The other side.
over.
All in front of those 3 properties there.
right,
Okay, got it. Okay.
So instead of along the beach, or what?
right,
Oh, okay.
Usually, yeah, the beach
So-
gets like replenished, but
right,
Mhm.
Where's the DEC? Why do you put them?
in that lot, in that
Oh,
right
right in
there,
there.
yeah, that's where
Okay.
the DEC wants them, but they were going on the beach back there in front of the
Instead of
bulkhead,
shoreline.
Got it.
right,
Okay.
Why is that a bad thing?
because then they end up
Littoral drift.
littoral
Oh, it just
drifting all the
goes,
way
it
down.
just goes everywhere.
Yeah, it just goes.
Got
the DEC actually generally in like maintenance dredge permits wants you to put it in the area that scours out and goes back. I don't know what their reasoning is, but from, doing this for the last 17 years of my life, I know that that's where they tell you to put them or ask you to put them, and to me, it doesn't make any sense, but that's a different conversation. It's like they want you to dig it out, put it somewhere, and it's gonna go back in the same spot, and then you dig it out the next year, it's.
You same action.
I think, and
Like, I only go to periodic Water Management Advisory Committee meetings over the years, because I've never been a liaison. So do dredging applications, they go before WMAC. So we did not get an opportunity to do that just because of the,
I'll talk about this.
the urgency of making a decision before this period, this window closes. So we do have Bill Garrity on if he hasn't, Bill Garrity is on, yes. If you had any comments or questions.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
How are you? Last year, we had an incident at the property where they went in to do dredging and they replaced an entire bulkhead. And I was just curious as to whether this contractor conducted that work last year. So that's a question for the contractor. Mr. Heaney, did you do the bulkhead work at the property last year?
I mean,
It's not irrelevant.
This application? I don't know if I should answer it.
That's something that would go to a different board.
I don't think,
Steve,
it's
is
a
that-
different issue.
In fairness, I really think that questions for the applicant should come from the board, and members of the public should address their remarks to the board, not to the applicant.
That would be for license review board, not anything else.
Right, that's kind of my thought.
Well, last year, did you have anything to do with the work that was done in the dredging and the bulkhead
I had nothing to
replacement?
do with the dredge work last year.
And the bulkhead replacement?
Yes,
You did?
yes. Okay. I don't know, patched the bulkhead
Was that permitted work?
3 times in my life. Well, it went from a repair to more than.
More of a, so they have an application in now to close out and do it properly for the bulkhead work. So I have an application submitted, but I'm waiting on a proper survey because the one submitted is not legible. Everything else he submitted, the insurance, whomever, they have an application pending to close out that work. I'm just waiting on a better survey to read. The DEC, they were fined, they paid the fine, the DEC approved the work, they do not need to remove anything. So once I get this proper survey, then we can move forward with that.
So they're trying to rectify what happened last year.
Yes.
Did you get all that, Bill?
I did, and I would just point out that there's a history here of work being performed and then permits or applications being put in for permits after work has been performed on dredging as well as on this extensive bulkhead that was put in last year. There was no application for a repair of bulkhead. There was a significant job that was performed without any application or permit. And there's a history here that's disturbing. And then to get an application at the last minute for additional dredging without it going through review of the WMAC is also disturbing. So it's just a questionable history here of the work being done at that property.
And what's driving the window again?
That's the that's the DEC window is the 20th to 30th. I mean, as far as dredge work that's been done without a permit, I can't speak to that. I don't believe that that's happened. I mean, it's been maintenance dredge for the last 50 years at least. As far as the bulkhead work, I mean, it's basically an albatross. I mean, when I was a kid, my father used to do a lot of work in the $10,000 window that is, doesn't really get you much nowadays. And he did actually have a permit to dredge the entire basin and replace the entire bulkhead. That was valid from DEC, Army Corps of Engineers, Town of Shelter Island. I think that application was actually approved in 2002, if I believe, and that
Also 23 years ago.
yes, I know he filed for a few extensions on it. I think to replace the entire bulkhead at that time was something like, $1,000.
So is this passable right now? Will the world come to an end if you miss the window and have to wait till next year?
Well, you wouldn't have access to his property if you've seen it.
So it's not passable right now.
It is impassable.
Do any of the other neighbors use that basin, do you know?
I think the Silver Beach Association uses it, like recreationally, and the neighbor to the north, he keeps his boat in there. No, the other on the bayfront there.
34,
Pool.
yeah.
Which one's his house? 42?
This house, the one on the corner.
34?
The small corner lot there, that one.
This one is, yeah, this
Yes.
is.
40, got it.
Okay. That's Royer property. This is Royer property, and you're saying that the Fogarty Home LLC.
Yeah, they have the one dock closer, right there, that dock they use.
This property, Delaney doesn't.
I don't know, I mean, recreationally, like I said, the whole Silver Beach Association kind of uses it. Fishing, swimming, tie a boat up temporarily. In fact, if you ever spent any time on the property, you'd see a lot of Shoulder Island residents use it like it's a park.
Which property did the Silver Beach Association use? Like I think that's Silver Beach Association property.
No, it's not. That is Silver Beach Association.
What I have
property right there, that
highlighted
sliver,
is-
that flag lot looking shape thing. I'm talking about they use the basin itself, swimming, fishing, etc.
Really? Okay.
May
I'm a member of the
31st
Silver
is
Beach
the,
Association. I'm not familiar with that.
personally, I would like the WMAC to have a look at this. I don't know. But
I mean, really, it's
Yeah, that's the
been
problem.
done every year, like I said, since the 60s.
yeah, apparently it's been done every year without
Hasn't been done
adherence
every
to the
year.
rules.
It gets approval every year.
I recall one year where it was, the permission was granted after the dredge was done, but we had made some sort of change in, like, yeah, the DEC and Army Corps of Engineer permits were in place, but the town permit needs to be granted annually.
Right.
And that was
Whereas in
overlooked.
other towns, that would be administrative.
So that's the only one that I remember.
And I know that
in
at one
recent
point,
history.
we did have a change in policy on how we issued the dredging permits because there was the Waterways Committee and not the Waterways Management Advisory Committee. And the Waterways Committee was like two members of the board who would opine on an application, and then the board would do a resolution for it for maintenance dredge and things like that. So when Dottie was here, she had a different kind of procedure for doing.
2021, the Watersway Committee and the town board inspected the site
Right.
and approved said repairs, and that was all the way up until last year.
Right, so it was a different procedure for the maintenance dredges, because I know we also did one down by Southbury that had a different procedure. When I first started and Dottie was still here, there was a different.
But for the big repair
Wow.
replacement last year, there wasn't even a repair permit.
Not for the bulkhead.
The bulkhead.
So what is the reason that you don't have all the permitting in place, 100%?
You do.
They
This is the only-
You do, but not the Army Corps.
No, they do have the
You
Army
just need
Corps.
a
You
request.
do? Okay.
Yeah, but like, we said, it's a joint application, just like any other wetlands permit, so for the DEC to even review it, there needs to be Army Corps approval first. So the Army Corps approves it, sends it to DEC, DEC reviews it, approves it.
It would be to the town board, Bill Garrity again. I'd like to see the Army Corps engineer permit in hand, and I also would wonder whether there can be a extension from the DEC so that we'd have an opportunity to review the application at the committee level.
What date is your next meeting, Bill?
The 2nd of June.
It's after the,
Yeah, it's after the window.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm just
Or to
wondering.
extending it, yeah. But part of what they're asking for is a retroactive approval of the bulkhead work.
No,
That's a separate.
that's a separate issue.
Application.
I don't know if this is practical, but Mr. Garrity's committee, if it wished to, I imagine, could call a special meeting so that it could meet and consider this matter within the DEC window.
And then we'd have to call a special meeting to
Right.
pass it.
And then Mr. Heaney would still need to have enough time to actually do the work. Right. So, I mean, the application in front of us right now is just to do the maintenance dredging for the entrance of the basin. There's a separate application to get approval on the bulkheading work and stuff from last year. So I think that's a separate issue that will be dealt with at a later date because we have an application to deal with that. So I think we should focus on this request. And because it's kind of timely in nature. What does everybody else think?
I'd like to see the WMAC weigh in on this. They review all the applications.
And what's the reason why they're not connected, Meg?
Because they're separate applications, that's a bulkhead, this is a dredging.
It's not under $10,000, would you even need a permit?
I mean, there's been approval for this every year in the past.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Please don't hold us to our past mistakes.
Well,
I mean,
there's
if
no
this is a
mistake.
mistake, then there's a lot of things that are mistakes.
I mean, the DEC approval goes through 2028.
Right.
It's just our town one that expires annually.
Yeah.
So,
Where in other towns, like we said, it would be administrative approval rather than this kind of approval.
we had discussed making those, that kind of change in the future to
I
the,
agree with Albert, it should go to the WMAC. They should look at this.
Bill, I have a question for you. In what kinds of instances would you not grant dredging approval? Like, have you had any in the past?
We don't get that many. There's only a few areas that that are dredged.
I mean,
But this, brings up all the reasons, all the issues that we wouldn't grant an approval, and that is because in the past, they haven't put spoils where they're supposed to put them. They haven't gotten a permit before doing the work. Normally it's a pretty clear-cut situation. This is the only one where I consistently see issues that comes to mind.
The spoils put there, like, is it not on the DEC permit to put it replenish the beach?
Uplands.
no, it has it on upland source on that property.
Like I said, I didn't do it, but my whole lifetime, I do know that's where they've gone.
I mean, from my perspective, it's like the DEC looks at this, the Army Corps of Engineers looks at it. There is a short window. I would not want to grant a town permit if they didn't have those other two permits and weren't doing it in the proper window.
Right.
And I feel like if we have all of that, I mean, we could do a resolution subject to making sure that we actually see the Army Corps of Engineer permit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we've ever denied a dredging permit. I mean, I feel like all the ones that I've seen, there's the one by South Ferry, not the South Ferry Basin, but like
No, Maples Creek.
Maples Creek, thank you. Done
It's
the
a lot of
Maples
time.
Creek, yeah. So, I mean, there've been a few of them that are maintenance dredge
Yeah.
and the yacht club and you know, I think there's at least one more aside from this one. The one, in the Heights by Serpentine, that other basin.
Oh, yeah. That one's closed for a long time too.
Yeah,
Like,
Heights,
The difference being,
they're all,
those other dredging permits were properly executed. And right now, we have a contractor that has had issues in the past. And the review of the WMAC would at least allow for them.
What issues
I don't-
has the contractor had passed?
I don't know that.
Putting the spoils in the wrong place.
I didn't do
that
the
was
work.
this contractor, so.
I'm also the only marine contractor that lives on Shelter Island, so
Yeah.
I've done the work at Maples Creek several years. Everybody's happy with that.
To the town board again, I think we should have the Army Corps of Engineer permit in hand. And again, I think that the applicant should go to the DEC to see if they get an extension. I think that's more reasonable than trying to pull the WMAC together between now and our June 2nd meeting. Given the holiday, it's I'm having a hard time getting a hold of other members at this point already.
I think it's more reasonable to get a couple islanders together to talk about something than it is to, contact the DEC within the 10 days window that it's open
Not even.
already and try to get some kind of extension filed and approved before the 10 days is over.
What does the board want to do? You got two saying nothing today, send it to WMEC.
Yes,
Yes.
that's where I am.
Yes, I am the same place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, but yes, I agree. But can we find
Approved the same application for the past 40 years. So we're gonna wait, just to approve the same thing.
well, we'll have to see what clearly, Bill's on and has issues, so I'd like an opportunity to hear what he has to say.
But I guess my question is, what is the problem with dredging the inlet and putting the spoils where they belong? If the application is executed the way that it's been permitted, how is that problematic? I understand if it's not done per the application, then of course we would come back, there would be a violation, there would be fines, there'd be penalties. But if this application is executed as it's permitted, then why wouldn't we allow them to move forward with it?
Well, okay,
Previous dredges weren't done by this contractor, so those mistakes for this project are not his. So if
yeah, well,
this
maybe we're
time-
focusing on the wrong entity, maybe it's the owner we should be focusing on. But also, let's not take this in a vacuum. We have the bulkhead problem, it's a separate application granted. Let's talk about our ability to levy fines, control that situation.
Right, but that's on that application, not this application.
Yeah, they're different applications, but they're both don't live in vacuums.
So you're
Same
gonna,
property owner. So we want to see how we can fix what is the real problem.
but the real problem's not this application, it's the property owner, but the property owner has another violation that we'll address, and that's how you would address that. Like, it doesn't make
Well, we
sense
have a
to punish
violation on
the,
this property, and you want to issue a permit with an outstanding violation?
Last year was issued with the violation.
Well, that's not okay.
There's the violation, and then you guys approved it, so.
Yeah.
It's more of a reason now, frankly.
Yeah.
I
It's more of a
mean,
reason
thank
to
you.
deny it this year because you approved it last year?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't
I mean-
understand.
because if there was outstanding violation, shouldn't
There was the violation and then you approved the dredge work.
I actually thought we got a ruling on something else, that if there's an outstanding violation, it's not grounds for denying other.
It's a consideration, though.
I'm pretty sure.
Actually, I don't agree that it's a consideration. I think that the consequences of a code violation are a notice of violation, an enforcement proceeding in town court, and any penalties that the court might impose. It's not a reason to deny a separate application. It's not a criteria set forth in the code for this board's consideration of another application. And I will also say that while I'm certainly not advocating one decision or another, courts do, in reviewing board applications, consider whether the decision of the board is consistent or inconsistent with its precedent. That doesn't mean that you repeat mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're locked into an unreasonable or incorrect decision. It also doesn't mean that you're required to depart with prior procedures, such as reference to the WMAC committee, if that's what you choose to do. But I just thought that might be worth adding to the conversation.
Bill,
Sure.
when do you plan on addressing the bulkhead application?
Once it's complete and I send it.
So it's not, we're waiting for the survey. Yeah.
My primary concern with the work at that property is that it is done properly. And so I would ask that if it is going to be done, that there be someone there to make sure it's performed correctly and done according to the application and the permit.
We can put in the resolution that you want spoils here, you want this done.
And the DEC permit states where they want the spoils, and it's a designated area as.
And then if it's not put there, then that's when code enforcement comes in.
I don't know that, well, I know there's two different applications, but I don't know what was done on the town level with regard to the bulkhead. I know that there were DEC issues, but I don't know that the town actually did anything on that one. And I would be a bit frustrating if this job is done incorrectly and then there's no town follow-up on either inspection or and confirmation that it was done properly. And if not, dealing with it on town level as far as fines go.
Well, our interim town attorney certainly added some light to this. How do you feel about Steve Leventhal's comments, Albert Gordon?
What are you saying, Ben?
Given what Stephen just said, can't really tie this into the bulkhead problem. And everything seems to be in place for this particular application.
We have a procedure in the town, and I'd like to see it follow. That's all.
The procedure, oh, this should be reviewed by WMXA.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, I think probably the major concern at the WMAC is that there's accountability. We'd like to see the procedure followed. When it's not, we would like there to be consequences. And it's frustrating that that has not been the case here. But again, I don't know that there would be a denial. It would really be more to the question of whether it's done properly this time.
So Bill, if we were to require that the building inspector inspect the property prior to the dredging, and then at the
While it's going
conclusion of, while the dredging's happening, and at the conclusion to make sure everything's going where it's supposed to, would that be sufficient?
I think that would help a great deal, yeah.
Just refresh me again. What was the reason for the delay?
Delay?
Yeah.
Like I said, I applied for liability insurance in January and they gave it to me 2 weeks ago. I called the insurance company like every week
I even followed up with them as well.
and, they, McMahon Price sends it out to whoever and that's how long it takes, that's how long it's done.
Right.
As soon as they, approved it, I paid it, got the paperwork over here.
I mean,
And you didn't do the dredging before?
I've never done the dredging. I've done a lot of dredge work, but I've never done it for him.
I do want to say that the interest in seeing that the work is performed properly is not something that's uniquely within the concern or expertise of the WMAC. I think this board, the town board, is at least as competent and concerned as the WMAC in ensuring and taking steps to ensure that the work is performed properly.
Well, the members of the WMC have a lot of Bay experience, war, but anyway, doesn't matter. A lot more than I do.
But ultimately, it's on the board, no matter what.
Yeah. So we can issue the permit subject to the requirements of the DEC permit as to location of the spoils. And we can also, as part of the permit, have the building inspector monitor before, during, and after.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
What's the downside if it continues another year?
It closes.
They can't
It's closed.
access
It's already closed.
It's already closed.
It's already closed.
Okay, so it would be closed for another year.
There would be no access to it.
No access. There's no access now.
Not high tide, not low tide.
There's no access.
It's completely closed. Every year it closes.
And the reason we're here is because we didn't get insurance from January.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, it's not the WMAC, it's not the town board
No,
that's
it's my
really,
fault.
right, okay.
Well, actually, I guess if it's not really my fault, if you apply for something in January and it doesn't take, until now, it's that much of it is my fault. If that's fault, I guess I, could have tried to get it 10 years ago or something.
But the dredging window was set by the DEC.
Right. So,
That deadline was established when?
50 years ago,
No, the May
DEC
20th to May
permit.
30th window.
well,
What
I
is-
mean,
what's the
this
deal?
current permit, like I said,
This current permit that you were talking about expiring, when,
well, it's not expiring, it's just the window.
the window?
Yeah, it's valid for what, 5 years? Usually the main storage permits.
Yeah.
And it expires in
28.
2028.
Staff it. Okay.
What comes to mind, and
I tried to help, I
what
mean,
comes to my mind is that if he's done all these things on his own without any regard, and then looks for permits afterwards, what's surprising to me is that the owner hung in there with you for you to get your insurance. Why didn't he move in a different direction? I guess that's what I'm wondering.
cost. Yeah, we do it, you can pay me $6,000, or you can have somebody else do it for, I don't know, $14,000, I guess. Like I said, this is my part-time job, I work 49 hours a week, somebody else, so, I live on Jump Around, so I could do it cheaper, I wanted to do the work, he knows that I will do it, like I said, I've repaired his bulkhead my whole life, yeah, that's why.
But you didn't do the bulkhead repair last year.
Yes,
Oh, you did?
I said it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also, violations for that,
We've already spent too much time on this.
I guess.
Okay, so,
I'm softening. What about you, Gordon?
I think the process is, I'd like to see it go to WMAC.
I would go with granting this with the conditions that we talked about. But when the bulkhead application comes in, we'll have a chat with the owner.
They always have an expression that says that leopards don't change their spots, okay? And there seems to be a leopard here in the room with a lot of exceptions and doing things and then worrying about it later, okay? And it's hard for me to get that out of my head. How do we change behavior?
It's always easier to ask for forgiveness.
Right.
Yeah. Can somebody tell me how hard it is to get the DEC to extend this time limit?
Extremely hard.
Very hard.
Especially now that it's already in the time, yeah.
We're causing a big hardship by leaving this thing plugged for the whole summer.
Mhm.
I have trouble with that.
Well, they don't have that, they don't have
The
that.
thing is that if you wait another year, obviously there's gonna be more fill there, so it's gonna be a bigger project if you wait, you know.
So, well,
Well, it would be.
It's more spoils, it's
Right.
more disturbance.
I guess, go ahead, Bill, and then you had a comment you wanted to make?
I'm trying to get access to the application just to see, we have a copy of the insurance form,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
And it was just recently issued.
Yes.
yes, May 8th. I guess my question is, the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers look at dredging permits, and they're the ones who grant it. They're the ones who have the skill set, the qualifications to do so. We at this table do not. So by us wanting to have people come for a one-year dredging permit every year, what is it? Why did we enact this law? What are we hoping to accomplish?
but people follow procedures and actually put it in.
No, no,
every-
no.
But
I mean, so-
valid for 5 years, why do you have to apply?
But I mean.
Why not just times 5 by the fee and, you know,
So what
So
we're
we
trying-
can
like,
locally,
I was gonna say, we don't put it in place so that people have a rule to follow. We put it in place
no,
because
we
we're
want to
trying
make sure
to
it's done
protect.
properly.
Yeah,
I mean, we already heard in this particular spot, the spoils have ended up in 3 different places.
right, but that's, I mean, but that's what I'm trying to say is what does our law try to accomplish? And
When-
it's so that it's done.
when was the
correctly,
last time
doesn't
it
harm.
was?
So proper executing.
Exactly. So if we build that into our resolution, are we accomplishing the purpose of the law?
Right.
But was it the contractor's fault or the homeowner's fault that the spoils went in the wrong spot?
It's a homeowner's fault, they own the
Right.
property.
I mean, a very, notable contractor did the work last year, prominent, I should use the word. So,
So I think, I agree. I mean, even Bill said that he doesn't see the WMAC technically denying the dredging. So
So it's just whether or not we want to
it's
punish the
whether.
homeowner by having their
Correct,
basin
and
closed.
I
for a year.
think that,
We'd love to.
no, I,
Punish them.
Tell me how.
Don't grant this.
That
That's
would-
punishment, that's punishment,
That's
yeah.
where we are.
So, I mean, that's,
I'm gonna be honest,
But
the only
that's-
person in front of you right now would be me.
Yeah, you lose the work.
but that's a different application. It's like, it's the bulkhead is your problem, the dredging was last year a different situation, so, like Steve Leventhal said earlier, you can't use the one to punish the other, so,
I hear you.
I would approve this with the conditions that we talked about, with the inspections and the follow-up.
it's right now you're the linchpin.
I know.
Which way are we
I'm still in
pivoting?
the middle on this, I don't like it, because I don't want to leave the thing plugged for a season.
I also don't want to dance.
Well, it's not like this, it's plugged because it's not being dredged this year. Obviously, it wasn't available last year, and they neglected to dredge it last year.
No, they dredged it last year.
So it fills in every year?
Every year it fills in.
Fills it out. It's like crap.
It definitely was last year.
Almost.
Chesterfield dredged it last year.
let's just.
Would getting an extension from the DEC
Mabel's
push
strike
it out
plugs every
past
year.
this?
Same situation.
Say it again, Bill?
Would getting an extension from the DEC delay it a couple of weeks, a couple of months, the entire season?
Probably have to wait till next
You
year.
would just have to wait, you would have to wait till next year. There would be no,
We'd be leaving it plugged for this season.
It's 6
Takes
months.
that
to
long?
get something, yeah, it's a process.
And to be honest with you, that's the
I
one,
could have
that's the one thing I don't want to see.
had the application that went through and like pending insurance, like my insurance, I.
We still would be here.
Right, but I'm saying if you guys approved it and then it was just like, show me this and you could do it, like, then you guys could have already reviewed it. Like I said, in another town, this would be like administrative because it's a maintenance dredge permit.
Don't hate me, but I don't think we should leave this thing plugged for the season. I just don't.
Amber, you would have to draft a resolution by the time we come out of the work session if we're gonna
We'll
do
go
this.
do that now. Depending on your vote, not votes, decisions,
Mhm. And incorporating in the.
building inspector.
Mhm.
Reed, you're on Zoom. Are you actually there?
Around.
Isn't feeling well, he's homesick today, he's probably.
I just want to check with him to make sure he's down for this because we're asking him to do all the inspection and checking.
His job.
His job.
No, it's a job, but you know,
Bill. See, that's-
who's out?
No, Bill's.
He's here.
No, Reed's
I was
out.
just saying,
I don't-
I'll draft a resolution and send it to you quickly and then see if it suits
We
his.
circle back to this if you notes.
Yeah, we could,
If Amber does go do
Oh, yeah.
that.
Draft it and then.
yeah, we could put
See
it
if it fits.
after we do the rest of the agenda.
Concern.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't think we should leave this thing plugged for the season, but I think the owner is a bad actor and needs to be dealt with.
Okay.
All right, so we'll set this aside for now. I don't know if you like want to stay. We've got a number of agenda items before we go back. Okay.
I was at school, but I missed that to be here, so I already missed it.
Okay, sorry. All right, so then the next item on the agenda is the outdoor assembly permit for the Historical Society Music Hall.
This is for the museum?
Yeah.
Have you had complaints or problems with the last one? I don't think so.
I can tell you some of the neighbors don't like the constant noise of the rehearsals and everything else, but they're willing to endure it because there's a benefit to the historical museum. But, yeah, some of the neighbors have expressed annoyance. Not formally, but informally, I've gotten it on the street, you know.
Do they actually make money or lose money on this?
I have no idea.
Presumably they make money or else they wouldn't be having it year after
Right.
I
year.
don't know. It's just-
Well. I actually did not bring that application with me. I don't even know what.
I printed it out.
Thanks.
Thanks. My only question about the application is they did not include a stage this year, and they've had a stage in the past, but I don't see it on the application or on the map. So, as a condition, I would just say that if they do use a stage, that it gets inspected by the building department.
They probably took it out because it cost so much money.
I think we have it in storage at the highway building.
Yeah, that's my impression.
Own this stage?
No, I think it's just being stored. They needed a location and we had extra space.
So they own the stage.
I believe so. Ken is on. I don't know if he's available. Ken Lewis, are you there?
I think everybody felt.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm here, but I just got back into my office. What did I miss?
Oh, we're talking about the outdoor assembly permit for the Historical Society musical and whether or not they're going to utilize a stage this year. And the question was, I think that the stage is, if I'm not mistaken, the stage is stored down at the highway, at the recycling area in a trailer?
Yeah, we helped them out with it last year we had some extra space in one of the overseas containers. And so we told them that we put it in there for them. And we also, at the end of the season, when they were done, they dismantled it. And I told the Historical Society that we would lend a hand in, picking up the pieces for them. They left it all sort of neatly arranged on the side of the barn, and a couple of their volunteers and a couple of my guys, and we cleaned it up pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think the stage is the only question. Ken, do you have any knowledge or information? Are they using the stage this year or not? It wasn't in the permit. That's why we're asking.
I actually don't know, Ben. I haven't been asked about it recently. I was expecting them to probably come to us pretty soon, but I haven't heard anything, and it's possible maybe Tom Hossagen was who I had touched base with. So I would assume they're using the stage again. I just kind of figured they would, and I sort of leave it fluid, like, he can give me a ring anytime, and if we've got the manpower and the ability to help in a little bit of a down situation, then I'm happy to give them a hand.
Okay. Well, I agree with Meg. I mean, just add that to the permit.
Right.
If they do use it.
Because they used them last year, it's easy enough to add that into the resolution, just if they do use it, then they need the proper inspection, et cetera.
I sort of have a problem with the event or the whatever. It's fine.
There was an issue with the barn?
No, I was asking if they were gonna use a stage this year.
No, I know, but is there an issue with the barn, that they need permitting for the barn? Is that put it in question?
My understanding was that they needed to do some work on the barn to get it code compliant in order to be able to use it for events like that, yeah.
Okay.
That's just my understanding from the building side, building department side.
Does that happen?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because this is in front of the barn.
Right.
But they're using the barn as part of the back stage.
That I don't know.
I don't think they've used it as part of the,
It hasn't been part of the plan in the past.
doesn't part of the plan. I mean, I think they store things in there, but it's not part of this event that the public doesn't go into the barn. It's no participation, so I don't.
Yeah, I've been to the musical a couple of years in a row.
Yeah.
I think the actors went in and out in between, sets.
They do a good job of the parking, handling the parking. Along Shady Lane, even if they have that, but the parking lot, they usually have volunteers out there directing people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so the call for resources is
Minimal.
Yeah.
Well, they need the police to.
Is it a musical event? I mean, is there?
It says it's a musical. I don't know what the name of the musical is,
Okay.
but it's
Okay.
a musical.
The noise exemption they're requesting, so.
Right.
And PD said they didn't have any issues, just advise them when it's granted, so they can post this event on police bulletin so that the noise exemption if granted is noted.
That way whoever's on duty knows not to issue them a violation.
So the exemption is for decibels or for times? Like.
Oh,
or both?
Sort of full. Sort of full,
yeah, yes, except this.
Somebody was a fire alarm, so we could all read it.
There it is.
Well,
Indian Road.
That's actually a fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I guess.
keep you posted.
Yeah, well, no,
What was they saying? The
One
road?
Pandian Road, that's my street.
Where?
New construction.
Good, I hope it burns down, it's ugly.
What road did I say?
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Ben?
Is this camera going? Microphone? So getting back to this event, the event is from 6 to 10 PM, except I don't think that it's ever gone to 10 PM. I feel like it's always wrapped up before dark.
Yeah,
So it is an earlier time. So I don't,
right.
if we grant it, it would be within the parameters of this timeframe.
I think it's fine.
I'm okay with
No
it.
problem. Just-
Yeah, I know, it's like old hat now, they know what they're doing, how to set it up, I think
There's enough
it's fine.
space. So then this would go on for resolution at the June 9th meeting.
Yeah,
June
9th.
Yeah, just for a resolution. I'm just taking a second to
Okay.
pull that up so that I can put it on there so it's not forgotten, since Amber's out of the room. Is there any comments from the public on this while I'm doing that?
See any? Good.
Anyone on Zoom? Okay, then we'll close that topic and move on to the Relic Beach cleanup stations. There was a request to pick this up again this week. People wanted time to think about it, look into it further.
Okay.
Did anybody do anything on it? The Relic Beach cleanup?
I have reservations with it, frankly. I know Ken gave us put up the PowerPoint for the work session, which, looking here, it's difficult to read the sign that's now on the post. I didn't realize that there was a sponsor and a QR code that went to their site. And not that that's Ken's fault. I guess I assumed it was vetted, but it wasn't. So that's on me too, because I could have vetted it myself. But at this point, I don't think we should have something like that on our beaches. Selling space, a QR code, it doesn't set well with me. I would ask the highway department, I would ask Ken to, what would be involved in putting posts in the ground, making a framework to hold the baskets, get the baskets, and put a sign up, please help keep the beaches clean. And, if that's something that he could put a proposal together to the board if we wanted to move forward with it, and his guys to service it. That's all, but I'm not in favor of continuing with Relic.
So you'd like to take them down?
Yes.
The website?
Yes, yeah, I sent last Tuesday, after I sent the PowerPoint that Ken had circulated last fall when we discussed and decided to do this. It was last October.
What's the URL?
Hang on, I'll re-forward this to you. Get it?
I think so.
It just hit.
Also, if you just Google Relic Beach cleanup, it pops up. I can screen share the sign if people want to see it.
I'm gonna get some water.
It's a King Bliss.
You folks looking at the sign?
Website.
Yeah.
your feeling on this?
I can screen share the sign.
First of all, I don't think there's anything, there aren't that many of them floating around on the island right now. It's not like we're developing a whole, it's not much to develop, it's only a 4x4 post and a couple of plastic baskets, okay? It's something that I think, I think our town could, they're there anyhow. The Relic is not picking up on the beach, they're not taking care of the garbage, so we're doing everything. Why would we want to do free advertising and start a precedent? Okay, so my mind is, I'd say, I like the concept. I think it's something that we could do. I think Ken Lewis and the highway department could do, and we could probably open up these baskets to maybe more areas that are not shown.
Or advertise local businesses in the same space. Just a thought.
I don't know. That's another whole avenue.
That's a whole other ball.
But I think at this particular time, I think it's, and particularly not charging anybody for you. We have it in other locations. I don't see any downside of eliminating them, and I think it's easy enough to create it yourself. What do we talk? You looked at the facility. What do you got? Little couple pieces of wood together and tied to it,
and some baskets.
and
I would like to give Ken the chance for his input
Okay.
on this. Whatever, his guys are gonna have to do it. There is an expense, maybe nominal, but there is money involved. I'd like to, if he could do it, but I definitely think it's a great thing. It's worthwhile.
I mean, I guess I'm seeing this as, I don't look at this as a business on town property. It's, the main line here is working together to keep the beaches clean. It tells you to take a basket, pick up the debris, empty and return it. And then, it has sponsors who are paying to, pay for the materials to make this, pay for the baskets. And then if we have any issues with it, we just call Relic and they come and fix it. So it's zero cost to the town. It's not really like an aggressive in-your-face solicitation for anything. I don't really see this as a business. I mean, it's a partnership, but there's also, a partnership with almost all the municipalities up and down the coast of Suffolk County. So I'm not seeing this as like a major offensive thing. If anything, I think it'll help promote keeping the beaches clean, and it'll help make it easy for people to do just that. I think if, we want the highway department to buy the materials, put these things together, print the signs, buy the baskets, it's going to get more expensive than you think. And then anytime there's an issue with it, then the highway guys have to fix it or maintain it. Whereas if we have a problem, we can call Relic and they'll fix it or maintain it. They have baskets, they can replace baskets. The intention of this was to help clean the beaches and to do it at no cost to the taxpayers. And I think that was the original intention. So, I mean, I'm okay with that being the case here. If they're posted in locations that people think are eyesores, we can move them. They don't have to be wherever they were originally posted, but I'm not really seeing this as like a business on the beach kind of situation.
I thought Steve weighed in last week and
And it's not,
did not deem it to be so.
right.
But I don't want to put words in your mouth, Steve.
No, that's correct. I think there's a service being provided to the town.
Right,
What's the business being run there?
right. At no cost to the taxpayer.
I don't, look, what's the high goal here? The high goal here is get our beaches a little cleaner.
Right, that's my take on it.
And the highway department's pretty overtaxed.
Yeah.
So, I don't see the harm in this, I really don't. But
Fortunately, I'm a hard no, or I think I'm a hard no. I don't see it. Last week we talked about when they adopt a highway, okay, well, the vendors that would adopt a highway, they're paying to clean the side of the highway. This is, it's a marketing tool. It's clever, okay? And their concept is it's green and it's for ecology and cleaning up the beaches, but if we're gonna go that route, then maybe we should do it ourselves and put Sunset Beach on them and make some money out of it.
well, it's just a twist on adopt the highway. Adopt the highway, those companies pay to put their name on the sign.
Correct.
And that pays the cost of cleaning up the side of the highway.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not like the
kind of the same thing here, just a
Yeah.
little bit of a twist. They're Relic is generating some sort of income from putting these stations everywhere.
Right.
And that pays to actually put the stations in and do the repair and the maintenance and look after them. They're not doing the garbage cleanup. They're getting people to put them in the garbage can right next to it. And our highway people are picking up the garbage, but
Our highway people pick up the garbage anyway. So that's not, there's no difference there. It's just, this makes it easier for people to clean up the beach while they go for a walk. I know most of the time I go to the beach, my intention is not to pick up garbage, it's to go for a walk, but then while I'm walking, I see it, and then I'm like, God, I wish I had more to, something to put all this in. But this makes it easy. You walk, and you're like, oh, look, there's a basket, I'll take that with me.
It's okay to have a disagreement and I don't have to agree with it. And I go along, I listen to what everybody's saying. I just feel to myself, okay, that we charge people to be on the beach, 10 by 10s and all the rest of this stuff. And here we have someone who is actually promoting his business. Okay, there is no charge. And why should he be the lucky one? Maybe, why shouldn't it be somebody else?
'cause we're getting a service.
Maybe somebody else would be willing to pay the town for it and maybe generate some revenue. Okay, but I'm just telling you how I feel about it. And I think it's so incidental, and I just think I don't see this is not brain surgery, okay? If we wanted to do it, what would the cost be to the town to make up a couple of these? How many are there? 6, I think, on the island right now?
No, I think there
No.
are 4 locations.
There's Bootleggers, Highbury, Manhattan Lane, and Real Point.
4 locations.
4
Four
locations.
locations.
That's my position.
Unless there's any more discussion, do we need to belabor it? Just take a vote. Do we want to ask Ken to take these down or keep them?
Oh, Ken, one question though. The contract, I guess, if you want to call it that, with this company, says quarterly maintenance. Have they been on the island? Have you seen them?
They just.
They
went up.
just.
What am I-
They literally just went up about a month ago, so no, they haven't been here since.
So we still got 2 months.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. And the other thing, just on the sponsorship end of it, just so you know, there is no requirement for anybody to sponsor anything. I understand the concern with Relic as itself that you're, talking about, but as far as the sponsorship goes, if no sponsor ends up on the sign on the beach, they still come and service the units and repair them and do everything else. It has nothing to do with.
And there are 4 of them and there won't be any more.
Correct.
So we can say that. I think we've wasted too much time. I don't have a problem on this.
Yes, yeah. I'm in favor of keeping them.
So am I.
I feel like
I think it's fine.
the greater good is there.
It's, the attorney doesn't have a problem with them, doesn't see a conflict, so I don't have a problem with them.
No.
Oh, no, yeah. Express that.
All right.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Fresh Pond, the harvest service contract. So you were given, pretty sure I distributed, it's been kind of a week.
Oh, by email?
Yes, it would have been, by email. It's just, last year, we had this contractor came in and did the, what is it called? I always get it. Gotta go back a week in time now. The machine that goes in and eats up the lily pads and chops them up. And they get
The thresher?
Yeah, the thresher, and then they go up, the lily pad murderer puts them up the conveyor belt, they go into a place that they get then shipped over to the recycling area and turned into compost or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ken can speak to what happens to the lily pads once they're full. But anyways, it's the same thing that we had done last year. It did help everyone around the pond who goes to the pond said that it was a very, like being able to see the bottom, it was a very good thing for the pond. The Fresh Pond Neighbors Association will be paying for this. So there's no cost to the town other than accepting the.
Yes, why is it in front of us?
Because I have to be authorized to sign the contract.
So like we sign the contract and then the Fresh Pond neighbors pay for it.
Yeah.
But it's through the town because it's a
Because it's on.
pond is a
it's on
town property, yes.
Yeah, so rather than just putting it on as an agenda item at the next meeting, I just wanted to make sure everybody was on board.
Yeah.
So that if there were questions, we could ask them today.
I'm on board.
Okay, all right, good.
And I'm good too, Amber, that just so you know, our involvement's minimal. It's mostly just helping them pick up the stuff. They bring it to shore. It sits there in a pile, and when they're ready to move out, we come down and grab it and bring it and mix it in with the leaf matter. So pretty easy. It was easy last year.
Thank you. Any other public comments on this one? So it will be drafted and it will, in the resolution, I want to make sure that it is noted that Fresh Pond Neighbors Association will be, because that's a gift from Fresh Pond Neighbors Association that will be accepted in this resolution.
Who's going to coordinate the work? Who coordinates the work? Fresh Pond, or is Joe involved, or how is that coordinated?
I think Joe was involved,
Joe was involved
Last
last year.
and I think Joe
Joe's
was on.
on.
There we go.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Yeah,
Joe.
I serve as the project manager for this. I file the permit paperwork and oversee the contractor, and the funds get reimbursed by Fresh Pond. So they pay for the contracting work, but there is some town allocation of resources indirectly through my time and Ken's assistance. But it's a fairly short project. It's usually only a two-day effort, and it was quite successful last year in improving water quality.
All right, thank you. Okay, next agenda item is the Community Development Block Grant Amendment. We did not get any public input. We have notice in the paper that the town board wishes to propose an amendment to the Shelter Island Community Development Block Grant Program so that we would be moving $60,000 from the police department 2024 handicap access to the Shelter Island Country Club 2024 handicap access. We have, this was noticed, and any changes or comments need to be submitted to the town by June 6th. So if we don't get any comments before then, we will put this on for resolution and then work with the county to get that change made. And then we can get started on making Goat Hill more handicap accessible.
What is the timeline again for this project? There was a timeline where it had to be in place by a certain time, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean, they're allowing us to make the amendment, and so then I think we may need to purchase the materials so that we spend a certain amount. And I keep meaning to talk to Barbara further about that, because I've never encountered that in past projects. And I feel like we did some reimbursements recently to close something out, so I just have to go over with her the timing.
We lay the money out, we get reimbursed.
Yes, although we have to have this in place before we lay out the money. So they have a short window where you lay out the money and then they reimburse us.
And this is 100%
Yes.
covered by grant.
Yes. Mhm.
And do we have estimates on it, on the work?
I know Ken is working on that, so I don't know, Ken, if you have gotten anything back and can speak to that today, or?
I haven't gotten anything back. I reached out to a county contractor that somebody gave me from the town of Southold that had done a lot of ADA work. But he came and looked at it, at the project. But they mostly, what they do, in talking further to him, the majority of what they do is concrete work. So it's not really in his scope. But I have some other names that I'm going to reach out to and try to get an estimate on it before we, go to the RFP stage of anything, because I want to make sure that the $60,000 is going to cover it, obviously, because we don't want to, go over that for any reason. If a grant will cover it, then that's great. But if the grant doesn't cover it, then, we would, just I think, hold off on it until something else comes up. That's it.
So I will put that on for,
So his intention, he's gonna get
yes.
3
yes.
bids and.
Yeah, but this is just for the amendment, so the approval for the amendment would go on for the June 9th, and then the acceptance of any bid would end up coming back to the town board.
I don't know why I thought work had started on this, but okay. I haven't
No.
been up to Goat Hill.
No, there was some kitchen work that was done.
Yeah.
But this wasn't part of it, and we thought that this was going to be in the 2025 application. So. Okay. Put that-
Actually, this was the money from 2024, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, it's a 2024 application, which gets made December 1st, 2024, but then we don't get approval until March of 2025, and then that's when we can start to spend the money, and then we start into the next year, so there's always overlap going on.
Who's Bill? Who else? Bill?
Yeah, we sent it.
As far as this is concerned.
I sent it to him.
Okay, so next is the Goodson Plans application. What kind of restrictions would we want to put on this?
Amber, you and I went to the site.
Mm-hmm, yep,
We both like the vegetative buffer up to the pool patio.
yes.
That's, as far as that gazebo is concerned, take the roof off rather than take the whole thing out and disturb everything.
Mhm.
Cut the roof off. I don't need it.
Right,
It's under a tree for crying out loud.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
my.
I thought there's like quite a few trees, yeah.
Yeah, that was my takeaway. With respect to the vegetative buffer, let me just get out this first. Just because up to the pool patio, since it obviously goes around the entire pool.
Oh, just the
Yeah, I'd like, we have to,
water side.
we need to be a little bit more specific. How far we go. This is my-
You have notes on?
Yeah. It's like, all my papers are here. How do I lose a piece of paper?
There are 3 of them that was blank.
I know, but I did not see the third one, but I had it out earlier. Procurement.
Wetlands app.
There it is. Did you see that?
I know, I thought that maybe it was under here because the way it was bolted.
No, I'd already looked. Okay.
Bill just said it.
I think the fireplace and the associated patio with it should be removed. It's only 17 feet from the neighbor's property line, so it's.
So that was the one that was put in by the prior owner.
Right.
I didn't realize
And
it
it
was a setback violation too.
That would have to.
What's that, Ben?
I didn't realize there was a setback
Setback, yeah.
violation.
That would have to go.
Yeah, they even got it didn't even get ZBA, not just the wetlands, it's even a ZBA hearing. And the gazebo, should, I agree, the roof and the posts and the seat, the bench should be removed.
Yeah.
And I do like Teresa Mason's, our environmental analyst. I like her recommendation to have something on the crest, a buffer on the crest of the slope of the hill. And I'd like her to relook at the slope itself, if she has any recommendation for that. Having gone there and then now coming away, I'd like her to look at that slope. It is steep. But definitely a buffer along the crest.
Just jumping back to the fireplace and the barbecue. Like I said, I only know how mine was built. And I think if we're gonna remove it, you have to limit it to what's above ground. Because, man, I have a 5 foot deep, 10 foot long chunk of concrete that is buried in the ground to support the whole thing. And if you have to jackhammer and dynamite and dig that thing up, forget it, you're gonna. But if you just remove what's above ground, maybe that's the way to do it without disturbing everything else around you.
I disagree, but you know.
You want to dig out the foundation
Yes,
too.
yeah, yes.
That may cause serious destruction, but okay.
Yeah, although, I mean,
I,
that I mean, part of like the concern in the wetlands is the runoff, and is that structure creating a lot of runoff? Like, I'm sort of with you on the removal is going to cause a bigger, I mean, it's a one-time intrusion back into.
I mean, I don't want to speak for Albert, but I think his concern is that something was built in the wetlands at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And we,
I mean, any work, oh, go ahead, Gordon.
obviously, the wetland buffer is gonna have to be a separate drawing, and that should be overseen by Teresa Mason to make sure
Yeah,
it matches what she's gonna.
Yeah, that's always the case.
Yeah.
And what I was going to suggest, that's why I wanted to pull out the plan, because I was trying to find a benchmark for like the vegetative buffer going up to the 49-foot mark. So if you're looking at C1.1.
Which one are you looking at?
C1.1, or C.1.1.
Is the flagpole?
No, not the flagpole. If you see about, there's a 49-foot mark. It says plus or minus, but approximately 49 feet. So that takes it up to the edge of the stone patio on the creek side of the
Right.
pool. And so take that 49-foot line across so that that whole side of the pool. So we're not talking about the house side, we're not talking about.
Right, on the creek
Creek
side.
side.
The creek
you
side.
have the buffer come up, meet the edge of the pool all along the creek side and go from essentially that edge of the pool down to the bluff. So it would be like,
Yeah, since it's an irregular shape, I figured 49 feet would be a good.
and you'd follow it along both sides, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I figured that's the best, because we need to write this in a way that somebody follow it.
I see this line
I
here.
would like to say the
Let me check.
15-foot contour.
Yeah.
Let me see what you.
Okay, so here's the creek side,
Yeah.
here's the edge of the pool patio. So there's a 49-foot mark that takes us
Yeah.
right to that side
That
there.
one.
So if
Okay.
we extend that 49-foot mark across,
Right.
then we've got the whole creek side
That's fine, that's fine.
patio.
That is good.
What if you were to go by the contour, by that 15-foot contour?
Yeah, I like Amber's solution, but
That's a different plan, isn't it?
Oh, no, same plan, it's lightly
where,
dotted.
let me, what do you think?
It would be this line here, about 15-foot
Oh,
contour, because that's kind of like the high point of the bluff, too. If you
I liked mine better because it's
It's
deeper.
easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the edge of the pool patio, so there's the 49-foot mark. So I wanted to just take that straight across so that it covers the other side.
Adrian, straight across?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way, to the property line?
Well, now that's another question, is how far, like 15 feet where it touches the pool patio, or do we want it to be encroaching in this part, this side yard?
well, see that 75-foot mark to
Mhm.
the I don't know if that's north, it is north of the pool.
Mhm.
It's
But yeah.
west of
I
the pool.
don't, I mean,
Meg's idea, the 15-foot contour line doesn't quite get to the patio.
No.
So I wanted to pull it further.
patio, because
Yeah.
there will be runoff.
Exactly.
And
That's
do
what
you
I
want to
was
stop
thinking.
at 75 foot?
Oh, you mean, oh, you mean
40.
over here.
Yeah,
That's just that's an arbitrary line to show
Yeah.
where, you
yeah,
know,
but
so.
is that a good place to stop?
Oh,
or
I
do you
see,
wanna go
because
all
it's
the way
drawn
across?
on there. I see what you're saying.
I thought it was going all the way across,
That's-
not
that's
just
better.
around the pool, it was
Okay,
going all the
so
way
all the way, so
across.
even
That's
40
fine.
That was
49
Yeah.
feet over here as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think so.
Okay,
It's-
all right.
it's-
all right, so 49 feet on the creek side, and along the entire.
49 feet.
Now, the dry well,
Okay, so
You
that,
decide what's
so
next.
that's, okay, yeah, I was gonna say, so that's the so that's increased plantings to create a deeper vegetative buffer, okay. Okay, so what do you want to address next? The gazebo? That's an easy one.
well, gazebo, I thought we addressed.
Yeah, take the top off.
Take the top off, take the post, just that, Albert doesn't want the benches there. Just the deck. Everything but the deck.
Okay.
Because it was permeable, I mean, I looked at it.
Yeah.
It's fine. But also, Albert, with that Teresa Basin, have a look at the bluff and see if you have any suggestions on
The bank.
bring it up.
Yeah,
The bank.
Back, yeah.
it's pretty steep over there.
Get Teresa to have a look.
Of existing bank vegetation to remain. I forgot to bring Teresa's report in.
See, like,
It's not part of vegetative.
the fireplace is not encroaching in the side yard setback. The side yard setback is 12 and a half feet for A zone.
That's why there's no CBA.
Right. There's no
Got it.
violation there.
Yeah, I didn't hear that before. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's why it's not in the report.
Once again, my only worry there is just that taking a house is gonna cause more trouble than just leaving it there. It's cause more disturbance.
Yeah.
So we putting that in, we're gonna put that in as we're removing that patio and in the fireplace, is that what we're doing?
We haven't decided on that yet.
Okay,
So far, we have expanding the buffer 49 feet,
Yeah.
and we have removing
Great, so
The
far.
gazebo
the
down to
gazebo down
just
to the platform.
decking, yeah. Platform.
Yeah, I figured I'd do the easy stuff first.
Right.
Now we can get up.
What was the third thing?
The third thing was getting Teresa
Oh, right.
Mason's suggestion for increased bank
Majority of
vegetation.
the day.
Yeah, bank vegetation. Yeah, just looking at her report to see if there was like anything that she already put in here.
Yeah, I think that's right, going all the way across the property line with the vegetative buffer, because she was very concerned about the grass being there. It just creating more runoff.
And then Gordon, just to an earlier comment that you made, a final wetland inspection. She does
Yeah.
those before we issue the permits.
Yes, that's part of the.
Yeah, we've been putting those into every resolution.
So the dry well.
Yeah, we've got the fireplace, we've got the hot tub and dry wells and IA system.
So the dry well, Meg, you being the expert, so it's got, allegedly it's gonna go somewhere between the hot tub and the pool to handle runoff when they drain the hot tub at the end of the season.
You have to go like this. Or like here.
Okay, got
It
it.
would have to be within that 75 foot,
But, yeah,
that 25-foot that buffer. But I mean, it would only be for the hot tub runoff, because if we're doing a vegetative buffer, it doesn't make sense to trench all around the pool for drainage. So it would just be for the hot tub, I think.
okay.
So it wouldn't have to be
Very
that
helpful.
large if it's just for the hot tub.
I'm okay with that.
So that'd be number 4, dry well for hot tub.
Right.
Well, we haven't hit the bigger issue.
I know, I
Okay.
I figure the easy stuff will.
Dry well for the hot tub if they keep the hot tub, right?
Right,
They did not, after going through the purchase of this and learning of the situation that they were buying, they didn't get a permit for the deck and hot tub.
Right, no, so no. And I thought, I have to say, I thought the hot tub was on the surface, but it was dug down like a foot or two to create that situation. They dug it down a little bit, so the deck of the hot tub was flush with the deck.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I saw it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's in the ground.
Any comments?
Yeah, I wanted to articulate where it's for.
Okay. And he was okay with this?
so which one are we on next? So what are we gonna do with the hot tub? Stay or go?
I like the easy questions.
Stay, go, or dry well.
Right, exactly.
Well, let's go back to the fireplace.
Is it, where are you looking to put the dry well?
Show you.
Just west.
Is that propane, I
It
guess
would-
that's a ways off, the propane tank.
Yeah, it would have to, it could go like right
Yeah.
here. It doesn't have to be a super large dry well. Is it just for the hot tub?
Okay. This. Select the fire.
Okay, you wanna go to the fireplace?
Okay. Fireplace. It's
I
pretty
feel like the
huge,
fireplace has
with a
been there
really big
since,
base.
it's been there since pre-2010.
Right.
Because when Teresa brought up the aerial view from the county, it's been there for a while. And looking at it, I personally didn't think that there was a lot of runoff. Just the structure that it is, it's so small.
Bigger than my fireplace. That sounds very surprising. This is a huge fireplace. Mine's not this big.
Yes, but I'm thinking in terms of like rain hits it,
Mhm.
like, what happens?
I said,
I'd be more in favor of taking out the hot tub.
ooh,
Say it again?
I'd be more in favor of taking out the hot tub because that was a self-created,
yeah.
The deck and the hot tub were self-created,
yeah, like,
even after they
mhm.
understood.
And I could be convinced.
But then I would say leave the fireplace.
The patio going to the fireplace, that's removed, correct? We're all on the same page on it?
No.
No,
Discuss
that's
that,
that.
yeah.
It's gonna
We
stay.
haven't discussed it yet, but
Mhm.
I don't see any reason to remove it.
If you're gonna leave the fireplace, leave the patio.
Then you have really,
Oh, you mean
that's where you have the runoff.
You mean the little piece from the pool patio?
Yeah, it's fireplace. Yeah.
That's why we're increasing the vegetative buffer to
Right.
49 feet from the creek.
Yeah, we're bringing the vegetative buffer all the way up to that
Yeah,
patio.
that's the mitigation there.
I still like to see the patio and fireplace removed.
Okay.
I would be concerned about lighting that fireplace because of the way the pine tree is in the flue.
That's true.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
That's actually true, because mine's a little too close to my house.
That would concern me too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I'm concerned.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in favor of removing the fireplace in that patio.
How do you feel about removing the fireplace just above the level of the ground? Because, I mean, like I said, I don't know how it was built. It was built 20 years ago, but if it was built like mine, there's a massive lump of concrete underneath it.
Well, there's a slab, there's a slab behind it, there's some kind of base, but I mean, if you're going in there and you're gonna take out the part above ground, you might as well just yank the whole thing out and then fill it with dirt and grass seed on it. I mean,
Okay.
you're gonna have a machine in there anyway.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
someone's
that's
gonna
true.
demo it, they're gonna demo it. It's gonna have a big machine with
That's
a
true.
chompy claw or a big,
I think we had to
trust
leave
you.
it
That's
as a.
the fun part of the job, it's the demo. So
Chompy claw.
chompy claw or the big smashy ball, and that's how these things go.
You're probably upset they don't let you blow it up anymore. You probably like the dynamite.
Yes. No, dynamite's too sketchy. It's more fun to do the smash.
All right, so do we have 3 people who want to remove the fireplace?
Then remove.
1 and 2.
I'm
I'm a no.
one or the other. Hot tub
Fireplace
or the
or the hot
fireplace.
I'm a hot tub.
Which one do you want?
I'm a hot tub. I'm gonna take the hot
Albert
tub.
wants both.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's get rid of the fireplace.
Get rid of the fireplace?
Yeah, I mean. It's there, it's place, it's not causing runoff. I mean, I don't know why we're getting rid of it.
Well, that's why I'm saying keep it, get rid of the hot tub. Because they already used the 100-foot exemption for the gazebo.
Yeah.
And it was this particular owner who did it.
Who did the hot tub?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Mhm.
That makes more sense to me
their actual violation.
than
What's that? What are you saying?
leaving the fireplace and getting rid of the hot tub makes more sense to me because number one, the hot tub, they dug it down. Number two, the current owner did it without a permit,
Right.
knowing that all this other stuff was a problem too.
Right.
It's more egregious of a violation. It didn't have anything to do with the fireplace. And I think it's gonna cause massive destruction to get rid of it.
I looking at my notes, didn't Mr. Goodson say that he would, when he offered something quickly, that he would take down the fireplace and patio and the gazebo?
Yes.
I think
During the
his
hearing.
I think his intention was basically, tell me what you want and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's-
So we have to decide what we want. I don't think he was offering up A for B and, it was just like, I bought the house, I want to legalize it, tell me what you want.
So I would say that like if we take out the fireplace and the patio and the gazebo and increase the buffer, the hot tub, you didn't get a permit, but technically you are allowed to build in the 25 to that 25
adjacent
foot buffer, the adjusted rep. You should have gotten a permit, absolutely. But it's not necessarily prohibited to do construction there, you just need the permit to do construction there. So,
But in the new, not passed, but revised wetlands code, that would not be allowed though.
but that doesn't exist yet, so we can't go by that theoretical potential in the future.
Right.
So,
What do we?
So the fireplace is out, the patio is out, the hot tub you're leaving, the buffer is going all the way to the 40,
to the edge of the pool and then straight
the
across.
pool, and a drywall well is being,
We don't need a dry well.
only a drywall,
No, for the hot tub.
Oh, for the
We're
hot
leaving the
tub.
hot
tub,
Oh, if we leave the hot tub, yes, dry well.
drywall. And,
And the gazebo going down to the decking.
and we thank them for the IA system, correct?
Yes.
We are what doing?
Definitely,
Yes, we thank him for moving forward with the IA system.
yeah.
We just have the one legal opinion to just.
Legal opinion?
Steve is just going to check in with Teresa Mason. He just wanted to double check
Yeah.
understanding of the issue. And
Okay.
here's
He wants
Steve,
to make
here's
sure
Steve
it's
too.
kosher for us to, oh, here he is, let him
Yes.
Right,
speak for himself.
I would just like to know whether whether there's a sound environmental basis for requiring both.
There's Nexus, I
That's
guess.
a question for Teresa Mason.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Teresa's concern was the same one I expressed earlier, there not being like a connection to the violations specifically that tie into the wastewater. But just because she said something like that in the past, but absolutely talk to her because I don't know.
Back to the hot tub. You're in favor of that staying or still going?
My personal, I think one of them, get rid of the fireplace, fine, leave the hot tub.
Why? Just curious.
Because it's outside the 75 foot, which is the current law, even though the new law will be 100 feet.
And this was unpermitted.
It's unpermitted, that was definitely a bad. But, you know, it's fairness, and we gotta look at this with a little fairness.
Well, I think we're doing a big enough disturbance taking out the fireplace. Do we want to like then have a second disturbance with the hot tub?
I have more trouble removing the fireplace than I do with leaving the hot tub. Because I think removing that fireplace, they're gonna have to take down the fence to get to the backyard, get a huge couple pieces of machinery and a dump truck back there. It's not a lot of room, and then they're gonna tear up everything.
Well, Bobcat can run stuff out too.
But yeah, it will get torn up.
The whole place will get torn up. I remember when they put mine in, my yard got torn up. That was 15 years ago.
I still, I mean, I know it's like everything, but I still have a problem with the deck and hot tub. That with the education that they received, they still went forward with that.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
The other thing is if we can actually ask them to put in an IA system, that's a huge benefit
Yes.
to Shelter Island. And you know, that's great. So leave the hot tub.
yeah, if that's the case, leave the hot tub and the fireplace because it's going to cost them way more to do the RV system.
Yeah. The IA system's gonna cost $50,000. And annual ongoing maintenance for the rest of all of our lives.
Well, just remember, when they're doing it, it's in their own backyard, they're improving their own environment.
That's an environment for everybody.
Well, for them, but it's more so when you're on the waterfront.
Look, Albert, I get it. It's hard to justify saying, yeah, let's do all this other stuff and leave the hot tub. But equity and fairness is a thing, is a real thing. And
No, I'm just laughing because, when we talk about fair, what's fair? I mean, that's, right? What's fair to one may not be fair to the other. I sort of like the writing that the planning board did where the removal of the hot tub and the deck installed in 22 to the outside buffer. The board may consider legalizing the hot tub and deck with the building department approval if all the other items are corrected. I sort of like that statement, okay? And
yeah, that is a good point, Gordon.
it is a very good statement, and I think the IA is, thank you. You really, you're helping the town, the community. We're bringing them up to code. I think it's a win all the way around.
Thank you, Glenn, I forgot about that's clause, that paragraph in the.
So what are we're calling for a building department inspection of the deck and
The hot tub.
hot tub,
Hot tub.
that it's compliant.
Yeah,
Constructed properly.
Thank you, Ben. That's nice to have a compliment once in a while.
yeah, no, that's good, I forgot about that paragraph.
Okay, okay.
So, we're talking about leaving the hot tub and getting rid of everything else.
Yeah.
Oh, what about the dark skies stuff, which I didn't really see when I was there?
When we were there, we didn't see what the
I
dark.
think there were a couple of lights there that I saw, okay, but I
We should just be in compliance.
Yeah,
just make it,
yeah, that's code enforcement, so we can just have to send the building inspector over to.
Don't put it in the permit, just fix it.
Dark skies, whatever, is that what they call it for?
Yeah,
In the planning board memo or
Yeah, I mean, that's
CAC?
just code.
they said there were some lights that weren't compliant, I looked at it, yeah. But they say it's there, so I'm sure it's somewhere.
you're concerned about the disturbance of the land. Remember, when they use these machines these days, they do put a whole lot of wood down it gets disturbed, there's no question about it, okay? But I think this is a good solution. I think, I really do think between Teresa.
You're gonna put up wire back erosion control fencing, just so that there's no washout.
15,000-pound backhoe. There's no way to put down plywood to save that, it's gonna tear everything up. But that's
That's
okay.
where everything at.
That's okay.
And we're tentatively going with the IA system, septic system,
Yeah.
Subject to.
pending Stephen's review.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you need me to do a summary? I got six
Yes,
things.
please.
Increase the planting on the creek side to 49 feet. Take the roof posts and seats off the gazebo. Number 3, get Teresa Mason's suggestion about the existing bank vegetation to increase that. The dry well for the hot tub will go in and put in that the hot tub itself needs to be inspected by the building department. Remove the fireplace and adjacent patio and put in an IA system.
Right, inspected and legalized, I guess. Don't they have to issue a permit, or do we do that?
Yes, well, yeah, they have to get a building department inspection, so that would be.
Okay,
Remove fireplace.
Dark
in the
sky.
patio.
and dark skies compliant lighting.
You guys are probably gonna think I'm crazy, but I think including the IA is too much for, I think we've remediated the violations without the IA system. I think requiring it eliminates them from the potential of getting some of the grants to help.
I don't think it's a question of requiring it. I think that it was offered, it was in the plans. We're saying, thank you for doing something, okay? I don't think you have to find an exemption for how you get out of it. I think it's a very positive thing that they've offered to do, and I think it's nice to say thank you.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay. All right, so we're done with Goodson.
Nice.
Now we get to go back to Sawyer. And so Amber has circulated a proposed resolution.
Are we in public hearing?
We're in the
Back?
work session.
We don't have to go back.
We will, if we're going to, we want to discuss it in work session to see if we're happy with it. Then when we leave the work session, we go back into the special and adopt it.
Amber, did you enlighten us on your conversation with Bill?
I sent him the resolution and asked him if he wanted any tweaks, any specific things, and we just changed the articulate the placement of the spoil.
So the change in the placement of the spoils is actually a deviation from the DEC permit.
Yeah, so in the DEC permit, it just said landward of the bulkhead, which could be on the bulkhead
It's,
where we don't want it. So all spoils are to be landward.
Right, at the bulkhead instead of,
yeah, okay.
Wait, the last one I saw said 150 cubic yards at the bulkhead and the rest of it up.
It's concluded 430, I just,
Right. Yeah, right. So the original
It's
DEC
150
says
plus 280.
150 at the bulkhead landward of the apparent high water and approximately 280 cubic yards of dredged spoils upland, which is above.
That's
bulkhead.
the old one.
That's the DEC wording.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but that is the old one too, yes.
Yeah, so wow.
So the new one is just
this is what Bill preferred.
putting the 430
All of it.
landward of the bulkhead. So it's
Yeah.
not including the portion of the DEC had allocated
Got
right
it.
in front of the bulkhead above the high water mark.
Okay. Okay, well, that's the weigh-in from the WMAC we were looking for.
Mhm.
Yeah. If we understand it or not.
Will you get in trouble with the DEC if you don't put the 150 cubic yards in front of the bulkhead but above the high water mark?
Like, if you just put it on the property, you're saying? No, because you're still in compliance of part of it. It doesn't say don't put it on, just say put some of it.
And some of it.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, if you don't do it
No,
exactly. Okay. That's the case, then I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm okay. Albert?
Don't throw it out yet, we still have to read it.
No, I wanted to follow town procedure,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Okay.
Simple as that. I mean, moving forward with something as an accommodation, I don't agree with.
Okay.
Gordon?
You do it once, we do these things once, and it always is,
I'm gonna go on the procedure basis.
We will set this aside when we go into special. All right. Around the table.
What do we do?
Around the table. I'm just looking to see what meetings I had last week. Contractor license review, we went through and we just have to pull all of the changes. We've gone through the document twice now, I think.
yes.
So the only sort of open item from there that, like, I know that I want to look at, I think the committee, for the most part, at least the community members are like, kind of like, or at least one of them is like, okay, we're good with this. I just want to take a look at it from the standpoint, and it's hard because right now we were looking at it with all of the changes, ins and outs, and moving things around. I want to look at not the red line version, but just the black line version, or black version, that just, we have a procedure when a homeowner does something wrong, and, you know, like how we have penalties and things, what we do with contractors. You know, we get a bad actor who, you know, continually, or, you know, like does something egregious, like, is this a mechanism where we can bring them in and serve penalties, not on the homeowner, but on the contractor, or have some sort of
Penalty,
yeah, course of action that we can take to discourage that. You know, I give the example of somebody who, a homeowner who wanted to put in air conditioning on the roof, went to a contractor said, no, we can't do that per code. So then the homeowner went and found a contractor who said, sure, I'll do it. So the homeowner ended up paying a penalty, but the contractor didn't end up paying a penalty. So that's the last piece that I want to take a look at. You know, so we're close to having a draft, but that needs to be brought into it. So we may not have a draft next month yet, or later next month.
it's an important piece.
It is an important piece in my mind. It was sort of the whole impetus for me to want to pick this up, was to build that in. But, so that's where we stand on that. And we still,
once we finish playing with the draft, we need to send it to the building department as well as town attorney to review before we bring it to this table.
Do you license contractors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now, I think the only thing that we could do is pull their license. But anyway, so that was contractor license review board.
We had green options, didn't we?
We did. Green options, you want me to give an update on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Green Options was talking about the Green Expo and some of the things they're working on this summer. So the Green Expo is going to be on Saturday, August 23rd, same day as the craft fair. It's going to be in the same area as last year, which was on School Street, down the sidewalk. And then they're also looking to do a solar house tour on Sunday, the 24th, the day after the Green Expo. So they have a whole bunch of homeowners who put solar in at their house and who want to kind of give tours of the program and how it worked for them and their cost savings and all that. So they're working on getting 4 or 5 homeowners who want to open their house to the tours. So that's what they're working on right now. They're working on getting all of the vendors and stuff together for the expo and working on that house tour. Also wrapping up the ETIP program. So we should have some reports probably next month or the month after from that about the findings. That's what they were doing.
WACO.
Yes.
I was there, I just, I'm not a liaison.
Right.
So,
WAC report, Gordon, or?
Did you want to give it or should I?
The WAC. Yeah. Just we had our meeting, okay, needless to say, and the new board, I think that they got off to what I consider a good start. They, some of the issues they want to still address, okay, is obviously one of the main parts was the town center, the water quality and the waste. We want to focus in on the center. There was a lot of really positive things. I certainly did enjoy having Stephen Leventhal give a really in-depth discussion on the ethics, okay? And, you know, when he got done with this whole explanation, it was like, to me, it was like a learning experience all over. And I kept wondering to myself how many other committees that would be a good thing for them to hear.
You mean about the open
Open
meetings
meetings
law?
law.
Open meetings laws, yes.
Right, not
Yeah.
ethics.
Yeah, open meetings law. That was really, really a great presentation. Okay, I think it opened up some eyes to it. Okay, and a lot of questions asked. There's a lot of vibrance of what they're trying to do, and which I think they're very aggressive in trying to get some really proactive recommendations out to the board. Okay, they're talking about different brochures. Okay, they're talking about workshops. They're talking about Green Expo. They've got a lot of things on their agenda. I think the chairman, Andrew, did a good job trying to break up responsibilities to various members of the committee, okay, in an organized way. It seemed like everybody seems to be on track, and it looks pretty good. What was the other one here? They talked about the drought conditions, which is interesting because what seemed to come out of it is that, you know, we talk about it's drought extreme, whatever it might be, but even as we enter into the summer season, I think Sean Davey talked about, you know, we should, since the population is not here during the winter and our population expands in the summer, we should just make everybody aware that we're still on an island. So the water is less, there's less water during the summer months and we have more people. So it's just making everybody cautious, okay, to be careful with how you use your water supply. I walked away from the meeting feeling very, I was really enthusiastic, okay, and obviously with Joe coming back from his leave, okay, I think they're moving in the right direction. I think it's, I think it was a good meeting, that's what I can say. The other part that I just wanted to chat a little bit about also, okay, and is that is our budget season, okay, and I don't know the answer to this, but I guess I should ask it, okay, is that I think as we saw the election results take place this week, okay, I think our population is concerned about taxes and budgets and that stuff. So I know our CPA is working together with the auditor. And am I correct in assuming our financial reports have been presented to the state from the accounting firm?
Preliminary AUD goes in.
Right.
Yes.
Is that available for the board? And are we at a space of time that we can start getting into the different budget items?
No, because some journal entries were made recently, and when I looked at the postings that got put into Williamson, there were some accruals that were made that were incorrect. So we need to undo that. So we will have to send in an amended AUD once we have the, excuse me, the final numbers.
So they have the, what they call, the AFR or something, the annual financial report?
Yeah, AFR, you're right. AUD is a different one.
Right, so do we have what was submitted?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Amber must have that, or who?
No, Shelby has it.
Is that something that we can?
Yeah, we can circulate it if you
Okay.
want to take a look at it.
Okay, and
Not that helpful.
I was gonna say, why don't we circulate after it's correct if there's some changes
Well,
that
yeah, I
have
was
to be
gonna
made
say,
to
yeah,
it.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, what I'd really like to see circulated is the December report with the proper journal entries made.
right.
And so Shelby and I need to go through and,
Now, the auditors were here for this, so.
yes, and they're coming in again tomorrow, not tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. They're coming in again.
Right.
We have been scheduled.
So we're getting close to a point where we can really get into this in some depth.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're getting closer. We're not there yet, especially when I saw what was posted. It was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
this
auditors
is
come back
obviously
tomorrow.
wrong. Yeah.
Tomorrow and then next week.
and then the only other thing that we attended a meeting on Zoom, okay, with a software program in terms of, it's digitizing or putting our budget in a different format, okay? And I don't know what maybe I shouldn't get into the conversation
I have
now.
it scheduled for June 3rd to come to the board so that
We can do that.
ClearGov can do a presentation.
Basically, it's, to me, I find it a really an interesting way, rather than having a PDF sheet with a whole bunch of numbers, it's a format, okay, and Amber will obviously get into more detail on it, is that it basically breaks down the departments, and there's a little narrative from each department of what they did the prior year and what they intend on doing in the future. Okay, a lot of graphs, a lot of pictures, and a lot of things that, it's a nice narrative, and I think it's a good management tool, but we can get into it further on, okay?
So January 3rd, we're gonna have a,
June 3rd.
June 3rd, excuse me.
Yes, yeah, that's,
Presentation.
I have to just double check what I've got on the agenda.
Okay, great.
I added it to, yes,
Was that from OpenGov like that?
no, ClearGov.
ClearGov, that's what I meant, sorry.
Yeah, close. OpenGov is something else.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
said it and then I was like, no, that's not
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we looked at that a few years ago.
Mhm. Yeah, the pricing has come down.
Okay, that,
Because from
because
a number of
my
years
memory
ago,
was that
it
it
was-
was ridiculously expensive and
Yes.
not worth it.
Exactly. No,
We
the
can
pricing
create
has
our own pie
obviously come
charts.
down as they've rolled it out to more municipalities across the state and the country.
That's good.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess WAC, like their big takeaway was that even though we're getting rain, we still haven't gotten as much rain as we have historically. So that's why they wanted to put out a drought warning, which doesn't seem like it would be taken seriously by the public considering the fact that it's raining out. But they wanted the point to be made that the aquifer is not at historically high levels the way it typically is this time of year. So we're going into the summer season with an already low aquifer level compared to previous years. So, saying it's been abnormally dry doesn't make sense, where it's actually that we've had lower than typical rainfall for this season. So we're kind of going in to the summer season with lower water table than typically we would be this year. So there was a little confusion about that by some people. So they're like, it's raining. And I was like, yes, it's raining. However, we just haven't had the same amount of precipitation. The other thing, I was just going to mention that the Memorial Day Parade is on Monday. There's two. I don't know if many people know that at the Heights, they do a Lost at Sea Memorial in the morning, and it starts at 8:30, and it's at the Pecosi's Dock. And then there's the main parade here in the center at 10.
Geez, just one more thing. I did forget to mention, okay, that Ben and I did meet with the historical preservation.
Oh.
Maybe you might want to chat a little bit on that, okay? About
Yes, we formed a couple weeks ago, we formed a subcommittee to look at establishing a historic preservation board or committee, whatever. So Gordon and I met with Robert Harper, who's kind of heading it all up. And we were just trying to lay down the basics and trying to find a direction to go forward. Apparently in our code in chapter 77, there is a ability for us to form a committee.
Yes.
And to appoint some people.
Yep.
So we decided that was the best first step, to get some people who've been involved in create. If you all remember, that independent committee made some recommendations as far as making an amendment to the code of chapter 77. So we're going to take what's in the code now, which is the ability for us to form a committee, put some folks on it, and continue the conversation going forward about establishing a board or committee under chapter 77. So that was where we ended up at the end of meeting that long for around 2.5 hours.
Better you than me.
Yeah. And I think that is the first step that we're going to bring to the board, a list of people who should be, I think the committee was, under the code, it's 7 people?
7 people, yeah.
7 people? So we're going to give you 7 names to appoint to the committee. It's already in the code, it's already there, we don't have to do anything special. And that committee can then take up the work of amending the code, forming a committee. But
Can you work on, we're going to need a clerk.
yes,
We don't have bandwidth, so it's going to
any
be.
liaisons, work.
Yes.
Budget.
But so can you come up with like for 2025 for the moment, what you think the hour, like, are you going to meet monthly, every other week, weekly, like, how long will your meetings be? Just so we can come up with a budget, because we'll need to do a budget transfer to fund
Okay.
this committee, as well as find the money, as well as find a clerk who's willing to take on some overtime. So we need to know what the hour commitment, how many hours of commitment they would need on a monthly basis.
I mean, Gordon and I could talk to Robert again, I mean, especially in these early stages.
probably be once a quarter or something like that.
Yeah.
But you're going to rewrite the code. So that's,
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
that's a little bit of an
A
effort.
lot of
To
work.
figure out what the work is,
And it's a lot of
Yeah.
time.
then we can expand from there.
Yeah, and for 2026 quarterly, yeah, then we can build that into the 2026 budget. But for 2025,
Yeah.
as we're establishing the committee, we need to also establish the budget for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like 2025 will be a heavier lift.
Well, we actually set a date for our next meeting.
Yeah, I don't have it here.
Look that up, hold on.
So you're having a meeting, but that, like, will that be after we do a resolution to appoint?
No, we're not, I don't think we're anywhere
Okay, so you're not.
close to that at all.
Okay, that's what I'm.
Just we just getting into it, okay?
Here it is. The next meeting is Friday, June 6th at 10 o'clock.
Right.
So we will meet again to,
Add that to the, your agenda.
yeah,
Thank
add the
you.
budgeting issue.
Great, thank you.
And then the other thing, I guess, is that, change it, don't mean, so we're done with that subject
I think
matter.
we're done.
The other thing is the center, now that Joe Fenora will be back officially on June 3rd, I think it was given to me here. We can start to focus in more on our needs here in the center and start to address aggressively.
We have scheduled to come in for water and drinking water septic issues. Jason Heim and John Sanjan, both from Suffolk County Department of Health, Office of Water Resources. So Joe is coordinating a presentation with them to come in and give us, some education and kind of help us frame the first step in our conversation. And so as Joe is thinking this through and stepping through, this is number one.
Will we be able to, so this is not on June the 3rd. I'm
It's
just-
June 3rd, yes, they are both available, and
June the 3rd is only, not that far away. So,
it's our next work
okay.
session.
So do we get to look at any of this as before we have all these people come in, or what conceptually is being talking about?
I don't know if Joe is.
I mean, I thought we had created a subcommittee, we would sit down together and we would work out what we think this thing looks like and then take it to these various committees, okay?
So,
I-
Joe's just back this week, so he's working on it, so he's got them scheduled, he's going to continue to work on it next week. So I do want to sit down with him, and we've got our little
So
subcommittee
next,
to
yeah, so
pregame.
next week we should be able to sit down.
Yeah, I want to pregame with him.
That's what I was fine with.
Exactly.
Okay.
If they have any, handouts, or whatever, we'd like to get them posted on the website, whatever presentation.
Got it,
So,
okay.
yeah, so we will be doing some sort of pre-gaming Tuesday, Wednesday, or
Right.
Thursday next week. Yes.
Jason Heim is from the Office of Water, and then John Sanjan is wastewater.
Oh.
So you have both sides of the puzzle
Oh.
coming to discuss it from the health department's perspective.
Which is needed because we need to understand how we're going to cite everything. So
Right.
their discussion on that will be invaluable. And Jason Heim has come and spoken to us before, and he's excellent. Okay. Steve, I see you.
Well, I just wanted to mention that there's a hand raised. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yes, but then I saw you light up, so I was calling on you first. Stella?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the question. And I just want to focus on something you just said, which is there's got to be a complete rewrite of Chapter 77. And part of what we handed in to you to consider was a complete rewrite. So I'm hoping that the committee that is appointed will not be starting from scratch, but they will be perfecting what was already submitted.
Yes, that's the
Yes.
intention,
Stella.
absolutely. It's good,
Okay,
Stella.
thank you so much.
Thank
But since we have you on the line, can you just explain to us what's going on with the bluff, the Heights Bluff, the work that's going on in the Heights Bluff?
The Heights Bluff. Are you
Yeah,
talking about Bluff Avenue, or are you
Yes, well-
talking about the properties that have been cleared?
well, actually both, Bluff Avenue, and there seems to be work going on there, I guess, to improve drainage and
Yes.
protect erosion on
Yes,
Bluff Avenue?
yes. So that, there's a lot of runoff from both the adjacent properties as well as the top of Bluff. And what really brought that to our attention was the fact that the property at 4 Bluff was cleared and there was nothing to slow the water down. So it started to erode on that property. So over the last week, the Heights installed 3 collection boxes that are linked to rings in the ground. And we just finished it. We still have to put some RCA down and pack down the soil, et cetera, because we just finished yesterday. But we wanted to get ahead of this really crazy rainy day. And I'm happy to report that it's working quite well.
Okay.
Alright, so we will, because we have an executive session, we will adjourn the work session and go back into the special meeting. So I'll make a motion to adjourn and go into
Second.
special meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, who would like to read the resolution?
Oh, I'll read it. Make sure I got the right one. Whereas James Royer, 36 Peconic Avenue, has requested permission to conduct maintenance dredging of a 12-foot by 215-foot channel within the existing basin to a depth of 4 feet at mean low water, and whereas the proposed dredging will result in the removal of 430 cubic yards of dredged soil, all of which are to be placed landward of the bulkhead. And whereas all activities shall be conducted in strict conformance with the plans stamped and approved by New York State DEC on August 23rd, 2023, including the approved modification granting an extension of approval through August 22nd, 2028. And whereas the building inspector shall monitor the work site to ensure compliance with the Shelter Island Town Code and the New York State DEC approved plans. Now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned work in accordance with the conditions set forth herein. So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. So.
Can I just mention that with a clerk that drafts resolutions so well, I don't know why you're searching for a town attorney.
Did you and Gordon vote? 'Cause I only heard aye.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, against?
Opposed.
Opposed, sorry, thank you. Motion carried. Yes, thank you. Okay. So now we will close the special meeting, go back into the work session, and then go into executive session for employment history of a couple of employees.
Make that motion?
Second, all in favor?